Today, alongside a lot of you fans, I watched the unveiling of the Galaxy Note 8. And boy, do I just think it's... Okay, so near the end of the keynote, I noticed that the price point for the Note 8 is particularly high, much closer to that of the iPhone edition we're going to be seeing in just a few weeks. And when I really started comparing the Note 8 to the S8 Plus, which is a phone I actually reviewed earlier this year, it came out quite a while ago, actually, I just didn't see a lot of drastic differences. First of all, the display on the Note 8 is a 6.3-inch Super AMOLED Quad HD, so same resolution. I'm sure when you boot up this thing, it defaults to Full HD, just like the S8, and the S8 Plus is 6.2 inches. So with this new price tag, you're getting a 0.1 inch larger display. So very similar, very close there. On top of that, it has the same Snapdragon 835 processor. This thing isn't any faster in terms of speed. The only specification improvement is the RAM, which wasn't even a substantial one. It was just 4 to 6 gigabytes. Multitasking's a little easier now. They bragged about new multitasking features like being able to swipe off from the edge and having 2 apps running at the same time side by side that you could just tap. I understand why people think this is going to be helpful, but Samsung has had split screen apps for a very long time. I remember using it on the Note 7. I don't think making the phone just like less than an inch larger suddenly makes split screen multitasking any easier or better than it was before. I think it's pretty easy to accept that apps on smartphones don't really support split screen that well. If you're texting, your keyboard is going to cover up both apps at the same time, and there's very few scenarios in when it actually makes sense. Perhaps if you're browsing the web and watching a video at the same time, but then again, Android Oreo, right, is bringing picture-in-picture so you can take the video out of any player and move it around. So it's not like that's an exclusive thing. And I do just have to say, you know, when Apple has a keynote, it's typically because they have a whole array of things to announce. Like there's a keynote coming next month, and we're all hearing about the iPhone, but it's not just about that. That keynote is going to show a new Apple TV. It's going to unveil iOS 11. It's going to unveil macOS, a new Apple Watch, the 7S, the 7S Plus, and the iPhone edition. That is a stocked full keynote. Live streaming my reaction to this one ended up being very uneventful because this is literally all they had to announce. It was a single product, and I don't really think this product deserved to have its own dedicated keynote because it wasn't that drastically different than the smartphones we've already seen Samsung release before. I, of course, was really excited to see that dual camera. It's one of the first smartphones on the market to have dual optical image stabilization, which I think is really neat. And of course, they compared it to the iPhone 7 Plus and showed off that, of course, yes, having optical image stabilization results in having better video and photo. So I'm sure for the next couple weeks at least, this thing is going to be the best smartphone camera, period, until we see that new iPhone. But I just thought it was kind of weird that they're releasing this new phone that will be officially available on September 15th, but they're comparing it to a phone that's a year old. The iPhone 7 is about to be refreshed with 3 different models, so comparing the Note 8 to the 7 Plus feels really unfair to me because there's so drastically different time. It's like, yes, Samsung, just now you caught up with the dual camera department and can make your own version of portrait shots. They have this thing called Live Focus that takes 2 photos every time you take a selective focus type picture, and you can dictate the blur in the background. That's all great. I'm just saying, why didn't you add that on the S8? Isn't that supposed to be the iPhone 7's direct competitor? I always thought the Note phones were meant to compete with the iPhone that was just about to come out. And if the rumors are true about the iPhone edition, I think it is clearly going to be the superior product. I think what the Note 8 is really just targeting for is people who can still make use out of a stylus. I cannot figure it out. I respect you out there. If you can find a use for a stylus on your smartphone, congratulations. I really don't get it. There has simply never been times where I've wanted to take a pen out of my phone and start jogging down notes. I would much rather just say, Siri, remind me to do this, or just unlock my phone and write it down in the Notes app because that's so much faster than trying to fit all these tiny words on such a small device. And if you're an artist out there and you like to draw, you're going to have far more success with an actual complete stylus that is the size of a real pencil instead of that little S Pen that is just a needle that slides into the phone itself, where you have to be much more precise in how you're drawing. I think real artists prefer things like the Apple Pencil or the official draw pads you can hook up to a computer and draw with those. I've never heard of note art being a thing. They showed a lot of it in the keynote. I just don't think that's a popular thing. I think they also spent way too much time during this keynote just thanking their customers for not giving up on them. It's like, yeah, it's okay. You made the Note 7. That was a mistake. We forgive you. That's why we're watching this keynote. We just want you to tell us us why this new phone is great, and obviously there wasn't a terrible amount of changes. It's bringing the S8 treatment to the Note lineup, but that's really it. You're paying about an extra $200 for an extra camera on the back that opens up those photo features. You know, on Twitter I was saying that it was a slightly larger display. I'm not even gonna say that. It's the same size display, okay? No one's gonna hold an S8 Plus and a Note 8 and be like, wow, this monstrous display though. No, they're the same size. I don't care if there's 0.1 inch difference. 2 extra gigabytes of RAM, and I feel like most of those software features they talked about on the Note 8 can be brought over to the S8 and S8 Plus, which are far more affordable phones. And of course, the S8's least popular feature, the Bixby button, was also brought over to the Note 8. So it's true now. Samsung is terribly fixated on making sure that we get used to Bixby. Bixby is here to stay, everyone. There's even reports they're working on a Bixby speaker, so whoopee. Now, please don't get me wrong. I don't mean to be hypercritical here. In defense of the Note 8, I still think this is the best Android smartphone we've seen this year. It's extremely powerful, obviously one of the largest displays we've ever seen. Having used several Samsung phones in the past, I'm sure that it's built very, very sturdy. I love that it's waterproof. I love that it has fast charging, and if you pre-order one, you can choose a freebie accessory with it, whether it be a micro SD card or a wireless charger. I think that's very generous of Samsung. I also like that the Note 8 comes with headphones, something a different flagship smartphone didn't do last year. I don't agree with keeping around the headphone jack, but I'm proud of Samsung for at least sticking to their word. They believe the headphone jack should be on their phones, so they kept it on the S8, they're keeping it on here. And to prove to you how much they believe in the headphone jack, they're including headphones. I have to respect that. But overall, I just don't think the Note 8 really deserved a keynote. Also, the fact that they were projecting to 2 to 3 screens at once kind of hurt my brain to watch sometimes. Just have a screen, okay? Can you just talk and point to it? Because the whole keynote, while they were displaying stuff on it, looked like the phone was bent. It was confusing. Overall, those changes are 2 gigabytes of RAM, extra camera, and actually a slightly worse battery life. And no, this isn't the first time it happens with Note phones, because you have to have a giant gaping hole at the bottom where you can fit your stylus. The Note 8 has a 3300 milliamp hour battery, while the S8 Plus has a 3500. So you can pay less and just not have a stylus, which is fine. Just use your finger, it works fine, and have a better battery life. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the display on the S8 is slightly smaller, so wouldn't that mean that the Note 8 uses slightly more power? All I can say is let's really just hope it doesn't explode. If that does happen, I think the Note lineup is dead for good. There'd be no sense in trying to continue it, but I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen. Samsung's playing it very safe, and I'd love to check out that camera, but again, this is so similar to the S8, I just don't see the point in getting everyone riled up, inviting all the major YouTubers to the event like they've introduced this new groundbreaking thing. People kind of make fun of Apple sometimes for not being innovative. What's innovative about the Note? I honestly don't understand. You added RAM and a camera. We've had a dual camera before. In fact, most smartphones are getting dual cameras now. But I can guarantee you, I think the Note 8 is still going to be the best smartphone of the year. Originally, it was the S8 Plus, and then the Note 8 rose the bar just a little bit. It's just slightly better, so yeah, it's technically better. It's just a lot of money. So if you're willing to pay for it, then yeah, this is the best Android phone of the year. You know what's not gonna be the best Android phone of the year? I keep seeing those Pixel 2 rumors. Oh, this is gonna be a slaughterfest. I can't wait. Note 8 versus Pixel 2 XL. Just a total brutality win for Samsung. That's going to do so much better. It doesn't even matter if it's more money. So yeah, overall, it just didn't feel like a huge major upgrade, and I think they're getting people a bit too excited for it. Not much is changing, just minor things for a big price point. But of course, I want to know all your thoughts, so let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.